Today is October 5th, 2024. Recently I made a video on how to make a bootable USB device with persistence within the USB stick. Make pretty much a identical drive, the bootable device that boots both in UEFI and legacy BIOS, but using micro SD card. But in essence, it's same as just a regular SD card. And of course, you will need a USB adapter. And then your computer should be able to boot from the USB adapter. Got that out of the way, and now what I have is a Ventoy USB stick that's booted up, and I will just go into the Ventoy stick, and this is UEFI BIOS. So first thing what we'll do is we'll go to F96CE4 PuppyLinux. It was one of the recent variants, and I'll leave a link where you can download this, and we'll go ahead and boot into it and go to normal mode. And then just because we're gonna only use this to install Bionic PUP64 into my SD card, will only need to be on RAM only mode. So we'll let it boot up. So we'll go to ALTF4, we'll close this, and we'll close this, and what we need to do is get it to G-parted. So F12 will bring out the menu, and we'll go to, let's see, System, G-parted, way down here, and enter. And then our, I have an internal the internal hard drive, which does not have any files on it at all. This is the external drive that I have several Linux ISOs that we will be using. And then SDB is a Ventoy stick that I'm using to boot up this. And here is the SD card, SDG. So SDG, we want to partition SDG USB drive. So this is SD card, and what we'll do is the first thing we want to do is go to device and then create partition table. And because we'll be using it both legacy and UEFI, it needs to be on MS-DOS and apply. So you'll wipe out all the information on the SD card, of course, and we'll go to new, right click on a new, and we'll give it a 300 megabyte. That should be more than enough. That's for grub and to boot up. So we'll make this a FAT32, and we'll label it is EFI, and then we'll add ALTA, and then we're gonna create a space for PuppyLinux files. This is a 16 gig sized SD card. So if you have a smaller SD card, you may want to give it 1 gig, but here I'm just going to give 2 gig just in case you want to install more than one PuppyLinux. So we'll give it about 2,000. And then ext4 is fine, and we'll give it a label of pups, ALTA. And then here, because of a unique feature of PuppyLinux, I always like to make a separate save folder partition. So we'll give it a plenty of space on this, and then we'll give it a label of save folder. So, but we'll just give it a capital VV as a save partition. So we'll give it, and then we'll leave a little space for a Linux swap file. So generally speaking, in PuppyLinux, you don't need a swap file if you have a RAM more than 4 gig, but we'll just assume that we're gonna give it roughly about a 1 gig swap file, and we'll add. So here is the save partition. Now the last is we'll just right click and read new, and this is a swap, Linux swap, and then add, and then we're gonna apply everything. And it'll take a little, maybe a couple minutes, because SD card generally is slower than USB. And then we will have to put a correct boot flags here, but we'll do that. So if you have a choice though, it's preferable just to be using a USB stick rather than an SD card that I'm doing here for you. So once the PuppyLinux boots up from SD card, the performance is very good because everything is on RAM disk. However, the save folder cannot be run from RAM disk, so it is preferable to have a fairly or speedy SD card. So we'll just go ahead and complete it, and we'll right click on the first partition and then manage flags. It's important that you click both ESP and the boot, because we're gonna want to be able to boot from both UEFI and legacy BIOS. Now that's the first step. So we actually partition the SD. So next thing we need to do is install Bionic Pup 64 in my case, and I'll show you how that's done. And we go to setup again, and then we go all the way down to Frugal Pup Flexible Frugal Installer, and then go to the setting tab, settings, and click separate save location, because we made a special partition for this, and then use auto save and OK. And then go to Puppy and ISO. So I prepared, so there's on an external drive, there is a Bionic Pup ISO already that I've gotten ready. So here it is. And then we're gonna be using ISO. And what we wanna do is just drag the Bionic Pup 64 ISO into the screen, and it's getting ready to do his thing, and we're gonna say okay. And where we wanna use it SDG2 in this case, under pups, and then okay. And then we wanna create a folder just in case that you wanna install another Puppy Linux, but we'll do a create folder here, and we'll just name it Bionic Pup BP, and then enter. And then you wanna enter OK. So this is very important. You wanna return key first, and then once you're in it, BP, then you wanna say OK. And then now it wants to know where this save partition is, save folder is gonna be. So it's gonna be at, we made it at label of VV. So we're gonna say okay. And then within it, we're also gonna make a special folder of SV, small letter SV, which is, so that's gonna be where actual save folder is going to be. Again, here you want to enter first and make sure that you're in SV, and then give it an OK. Now it's ready to do its thing. So the save folder is going to be SDG3, which is SD card within the directory of SV. That's all correct. It'll take about a minute. So now it's done, okay. And then now, if you want to install another PuppyLinux, you'll repeat the same process with Puppy, but we're going to just go into boot. We're going to make a grub, and we're going to boot this time. And then SDG2, SD card that's where the Puppy files are. And then, so BP is Bionic Pup 64, that's all correct. And then we want to put the grub file in SDG1, which is the SD card first partition, and that's okay. And we want to make sure that it is clicked on both, referring to both legacy BIOS and UEFI BIOS, and we're going to go okay, and then we're going to say okay again. Now it's writing the grub files on the SDG1. That's all done, and we'll take a brief look. And here it is, and we're gonna look at the grub CFG, right click, and then go to Genie, and then we can see that there is a Puppy Bionic Pup 8.0, and we'll just change that name to BP just for simplicity's sake, and then save, and then exit ALTF4. Now what we want to do at this point, we've installed the Bionic Pup into the SD card, and we want to reboot into the SD card this time and fire up a Bionic Pup. So we'll just go ahead and go leave and then reboot, and no, we don't want to save anything. And then I will remove the event toy stick now. And then you should only have this SD card as a bootable device, but we'll just make sure we go to F12 in my computer to look at the bootable devices. So there's only one SD card that is bootable that has a Bionic Pup, and we'll go ahead and enter. And here's a Bionic Pup. So again, we'll go enter again. Now once we make sure that it gets saved in a UEFI machine, what I'll do is I will change into a legacy BIOS, and we'll repeat the process. So now it's booting into a Bionic Pup properly using SD. So what we'll do is we'll make a first save folder and make sure that it's all working properly. So everything is LA is fine, and then that's all okay. And then I can hear the barking in the background, so I know the sound card works okay. But internet, you can see that I have Ethernet that's already working and connected. So we'll just go ahead and go through the motion of how to so I use simple network setup, and then that's already all connected. That's Ethernet. And then we'll take a look at the icon down here. So it's successfully connected now. So use it as default is fine. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll just go through the sound card setup. You go to sound, and then I have multiple cards. Actually, what I want is I want this sound card to be the default, and enter, and the volume is set at maximum, that's fine, and then okay, okay, Okay. Now I want to reboot, make sure that the save folder is created in SDF3, which is the SD card. So we'll just go ahead and exit and reboot. And this time we want to save. Okay. So administrator is default, that's fine, normal. I don't need any encryption. So we want to use a save folder in my case, and we'll just give it a name of SD, and this is UEFI, just for to make sure the save folder is correct. And then we want to save it into SDF3 in the SV folder, which is all correct, and then we'll go ahead and reboot. So this process may take a while because the SD card, if it's very slow, will take a while to, but once once it boots up using the SD card save folder, speed is very fast because everything else is pretty much on the RAM disk in PuppyLinux. So again, we're Bionic Puppy is fine, and we just need to make sure now that it does create save folder properly. Now you can tell that there's no quick setup screen again. So, and then you have this save icon here. And then also the save partition is automatically loaded. So you know the save folder has been created, and we'll take a quick look. And here's the save folder SDUEFI. So now what we want to do is change the BIOS setting in my case and simulate a legacy BIOS, which is older format. So to be able to do that, I don't want this same save folder be loading in legacy BIOS. So what little trick is that we'll just go to F2 and then change the name, and we'll put a little dash in front. So now then when the Bionic Pup gets boot up again, it will not recognize this as a save folder. So we'll have to go through the same process again of a quick setup. So we'll go ahead and close that, and we're gonna go and exit, reboot, and then now I want to get into the BIOS in this my machine and change to legacy. So it's actually saving automatically here into UEFI SD. So we'll give it a minute. And then for me, I need to click on F1 to get into BIOS. So here it is, and we'll go to startup again, CSM. Right now, I'm only booting into UEFI only, but we need to change that. So we want to change it to legacy only. This will simulate another computer, older computer that has that has legacy BIOS, and we want to make sure that same disk will also work in that computer. So we want to save configuration and then reboot. F12 again in my computer to get into bootable device. So here I have, this is the SD, and the second one is the third one is my internal hard drive, and the second one is the external drive. So we'll have to go into SD card, and then BP is default, which is fine, and save folder we had created under UEFI will not be recognized, so we should just get a same quick setup screen. So now the same SD disk boots fine in a legacy mode here. So we'll just go through the LA, Los Angeles, which is fine, and then everything else is fine. Okay. And then internet connection, we went through that before, and we'll just go through the sound card and then multiple card in my case, and this is the USB card that I would prefer. And then okay, click, and ALTF4, close. And then so now you can see that there's when we reboot now, it should be able to tell that there is a functioning save folder. So we'll go ahead and exit again, reboot, and we want to save, administrator, normal, and then folder, and then we'll go ahead and just SD, and this is legacy, and then okay. Everything is correct. And then F12 in my case, available bootable device. And I just need to make sure that it goes into SD card. So here's the SD card, and then enter, and enter again. So now you got this, so there's no quick setup screen, so, and then there's automatic mount of the save partition. So we'll just take a look inside, there's save, and then there's a legacy BIOS save folder. So this proves that this single SD stick will work both in UEFI and legacy mode, and from now on you have to configure your own configuration. So